G'day. So today I'm just going to show you how I use the awesome Falcon probability ARP to make some cool odd time proggy riffs. I find it really useful for just breaking out of the box a little bit and getting my head in a different space. And yeah, hope that it helps you too. So first off, what we're going to want to do obviously is to play with Falcon. So if I bring Falcon up here, basically what I've done here is I've just opened the pluck guitar. So when you first open Falcon, it'll come up with a bunch of different presets. I just open pluck guitar because it's nice and simple. And then all you have to do is hit this little guy here, which opens up your events. So if I open and close that, you'll see what that is. See, I've got two script processors. So normally what you do is you open script processor, go to sequencing, and go to the probability ARP. Obviously, there's a ton of other really cool stuff in here. I'll probably go through some Euclidean stuff later because that's really awesome as well. But for today, we're into probability ARP. So you hit probability ARP. I've already got one up in here. So it looks like that. And then the second one that I've got up is the MIDI record. So I can record the events, all the notes that are coming out of the ARP and just dump them back into Logic. If you're using a different DAW, there's probably ways of routing that so you don't need to do that step. You can just put it straight into a virtual instrument, but in Logic, I haven't figured out how to do that. If you know how to do it, let me know, because that'd be cool. So really all we're going to be doing is in our ARP here, we're going to decide on a chord or a note or some of the above or bits and pieces of both. And we're going to just audition some stuff. So we're at an eighth. I like this as a tempo. You could go 16th, 32, whatever. Depending on your tempo, it's going to depend on what you set this as generally. I'm going for a more kind of like, I guess, sort of Tool-ish sound with a sort of sound with the ratcheting, which we'll get to in a sec. So I'm going to have it a bit slower, but you could have it faster. There's triplets, there's dotteds, there's whatever you want. So there's a ton of stuff you can play with in here. I'm just setting it to the eighth today. I'm not bothering with an octave, so it's just going to stay in one octave, but you could go up 2, 3, whatever octaves you want, and I'm not doing that today. But basically, in here, if I set that, so if I did to one octave at 100%, it means that at 100% of the time it'd be up an octave. So you'd kind of like, want to bring that back down if you were going to change octaves. But I'm not going to bother with octaves at all. The ratcheting is the really cool part. So I've got it set to, because our first riff's going to be in 7, so I've got it set to 3 for ratcheting. If I just play a C, so there's a 40% probability that that's going to ratchet in 3, and that sounds pretty cool to me. It's kind of, you can hear that in a nice chunky guitar. It's going to sound pretty cool. The reason I've done 3 is because, when you're counting your 7, maybe you're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 for your beat, and then maybe in 5 you're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So there's a 3 in both. So that's why I've done 3. You could do whatever you wanted in the ratcheting, though. You could ratchet anything you like. It just depends on what you want to do. I think if you do something different, you can do some polyrhythm, or sometimes it feels really kind of disjointed, especially if you add skip. Because skip's going to skip notes. So sometimes if you want that sort of disjointed, kind of djenty, kind of sort of vibe, then you can go with that. I'm not going for that today. And then at the bottom here on the left, we've got accent. So we're in 7, so we're going to accent the 7th note. So you can hear that. You could change that if you want to, but I'm in 7, so I'm going to do it on 7th. And when we change to 5, we'll do 5. And the last bit is the harmony. So when I play my C minor chord, you can see these extra ones here are added for our harmony. If I get rid of them, it's just going to be those notes. But if I bring that up, then occasionally it's going to go up to one of those. And that's how that works. So that's pretty much it. Again, it's playing around with all this different stuff to get the sound or something that inspires you that you're looking for. There's no right or wrong, never is. It's just kind of like, what do you like, what works for you, that's it. So for me, the next step would be to go, okay, I'm going to hit record. So if I record and I hit my C minor, I'm going to go down an octave. And I'm going to record, it's 3 bars, so it's 21 beats. Okay, hit stop, and then all I'm going to do is I am going to drag that from here, drag that into my virtual guitar. I'm using Hydra, which I dig. And there is my 3 bars of 7/4. What does that sound like? Let's find out. Okay, so that's set to chords at the moment, and that's way too high. It sounds pretty dreadful. So let's bring that down a couple of octaves, and what I might, just play quickly for the chords. Okay, so I brought that down too much. All right, so that's about right. But obviously that's playing power chords at the moment, so I could go into my articulations. Sorry, let's just remove Falcon for a sec. Go into my articulations down here, and let's see what it sounds like in a palm mute. So generally what I would do is I'd probably put my palm mutes when I'm ratcheting. So those particular ones there two are ratcheting, do my little spits. And that's my chords up there. So I could just go and so on and so forth, add harmonics, add just notes, whatever I want to do. Now keep in mind that this is just 3 notes that I'm playing in this chord. You could play a chord with 5, 10, you could, change your chord progressions per bar. I'm just keeping it simple so you get the idea of what we're doing. All right, so that's how you do that. That's pretty sweet. Now, if we wanted to go back to 5/4, so if I just make that 5, righto, so that's now in 5/4. So we want to go in 5/4, so we go back to Falcon. And the only thing we're really going to change in Falcon, so we get a nice cool transition, is if we go back to our probability up, we're going to change that to a 5th. So I'm going to play exactly the same chord, and we're going to record that for 3 bars. So if that's 15s, but before I do that, I want to X that out, so that goes away. So we're going to record. I'm going to hit my C minor chord again. Enough of that one, and then I'm going to drag that into there. I'll get rid of that one, and then I've got my 3 bars of that. Move that across, and we'll bring that down an octave as well. So now if we go, this is what we've just created. Get the idea. So all I've done in that opening riff is pretty much that idea. I've done it in here, added drums and bass, and we've got a little bit of the ARP to start and to finish. Added a second guitar to beef it up a bit as well, so it sounds, like a proper band. I added a little bit of a fill in the drums as well, just to sort of tide that over. But yeah, that's pretty much how I did it. Now you've noticed that that riff that we just made is different to that one. The reason for that is because it's a probability ARP, so it does do different things. So it's never going to sound exactly the same. So if I play this, let's just solo out our Falcon here. So now it's on loop. It's going to play slightly different every time. Now, obviously, if we were going to write a song, we wouldn't want to do that because otherwise we never know what we're going to get. But that's the cool thing about the riff thing is you can kind of just keep going for a while and sort of find something that works for you. You can add notes in, take notes away, change chords, do a whole bunch of cool stuff. And it's going to be different every time. So that's how the randomness kind of works for you. Cool. All right, that's pretty much it. So hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys do. Please, I'm always open to new things to learn, inspiration to write new songs and to help with writing complex stuff. Is always fun, and it's always interesting because, sometimes it can be a bit jarring when you're doing lots of different time signatures, and it's like, how do I get from that to that? And it's not quite working for me, and I'm kind of like, I'm sick of just doing like the 4-bar silence with a swell on it to get to the next part. That works well, but sometimes there's better ways of doing it. If you want me to showcase the Euclidean stuff, let me know, and I'm happy to do that. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time.